Tonight's aligned guide is Daniel Bowden, and he is coming to talk to us about Facebook ads. And it doesn't matter if you're new or seasoned, how they work, why they work, what your budget is, how you can leverage your resources so that you can put your message out in front of the right people. So without further ado, I'm going to invite Daniel to share his presentation, and naturally this is always interactive, so if you want to raise your digital hand, and then certainly there'll be time for question and answers at the end. And do you want a drum roll?
Sure.
I do love a good drum roll, baby. So welcome, Daniel.
Awesome. Thank you, Emily. Appreciate the opportunity. And Jennifer and Tiffany, nice to meet y'all. And I hope that y'all will get some value out of this. I've packed a lot in, and so I'm excited to share. Just like Emily said, I'm super open to this being interactive. Raise your hand on the screen or do the raise hand feature on Zoom. And we'll also have time for questions at the end. I've set aside some time for that as well. So whether it's during my presentation or after, there'll be plenty of opportunities to ask questions. And just to start off, I'll ask a question. Do any of y'all have any familiarity with Facebook ads, digital ads, anything like that? Somewhat, so, yes, Emily. Cool. Well, hopefully this is not too high level. This is what I do day to day. And so I'm trying to make it easy to understand and not nerd out too much. I can definitely geek out. But just to start off here, I know that what I sent you, Emily, was intro to Facebook ads. And that's different than what you see on the screen right here. You guys can't see the screen, right? Awesome. And so the difference is Facebook is a part of Meta. And whenever I talk about Facebook ads, I'm actually referring to the Meta platform, which includes Facebook, but also includes a number of other platforms. And so, like I said, that's Facebook. That also includes Instagram. That also recently includes Threads, which is like a Twitter X style social media platform. That's under the Meta umbrella. And then finally, that also most recently, which I think was just this past month or so, includes WhatsApp as well. So if you learn about Meta ads, or if you hear about Meta ads or Facebook ads, it's all kind of under one umbrella in one location. And that can actually include any one of these channels. So that's just kind of a quick correction on my part. Facebook, Meta, they are interchangeable though. So I may refer to one throughout the presentation. So just to start off, for a self-introduction, you guys might be like, why should I listen to this guy? What does he know? Who is this guy? But just to tell you all a little bit about my background, I have worked in marketing for the past decade. And for about the last 5 years, I've specifically worked in digital advertising. Most commonly in Meta ads, although I have ran LinkedIn ads and Google ads, and they are similar in some ways, but each platform has their own unique approaches and strategies. And I've spent over $3 million in ad campaigns helping small businesses, medium-sized businesses grow and ultimately turn online attention into paying clients and customers for their businesses. And so the goal of this session for today is just to make this seem a little less daunting or a little less confusing, and hopefully give you some actionable tips that you can take into whether that's advertising or marketing in general, because these concepts apply to broader marketing strategies. And hopefully you guys will get something out of it. Does that sound good? Awesome. Sweet. So what I'm going to start with is 3 common myths about Meta ads. And these are things that I hear all the time from business owners, from other marketers, just from people who are kind of have maybe toyed with Meta ads before in the past and maybe haven't seen the success they want, or they've heard from a friend or a friend of a friend, just different things that you hear about Meta ads. And so I'm just going to address those up front and then get into those a little bit later in more depth. So first off, my favorite one is my audience isn't on Facebook. And the reason that's my favorite is because there are over 3 billion Facebook users or 4 billion Meta users. And $500 million is spent on Meta ads every single day. So the reason I share that stat, 3 billion or 4 billion users, is because chances are your audience is on Meta ads. It's just a matter of how do you find them. And we'll get into that in a little bit. But especially business owners tend to think, for whatever reason, that other business owners aren't on Meta. But I have friends who are business owners who are on Instagram more than they're on Facebook. Maybe older people are on Facebook more than Instagram. Like I said, all of these platforms are included in Meta. And so it's just a matter of finding the right people and identifying the right people and reaching them, more so than it is they're just not on the platform. Yeah, and so I've even had some successes with helping clients achieve a 5 times return on their investment with what they spend on ads and what they've received back. I have helped clients land ultra high net worth clientele on Meta. So some people object, like, oh, you can't get good quality people on Meta. So again, that's not true. It's just a matter of how you find them. The next myth about Meta ads is it's too complicated. And what I would say to this is it does require some technical ability, but there are tons and tons of resources available online. If you are very interested in it and learning how to do it for yourself, it's totally doable. I learned probably the majority of what I know in just, a few months probably of really digging into it. And honestly, for y'all, like the simplest setup is often the best one. And what I mean by simple setup is one offer, one specific audience, one goal that you're trying to accomplish. Instead of trying to do everything at one time, just keeping it simple is often the best approach. And it makes things less complicated. And then finally, it's too expensive. And this is another fun one, a little fun fact. It doesn't have to be expensive. You can actually run ads for as little as $1 a day. And so if you have a budget of $30, you can run one every single day and spend $1 and see what kind of results you get. I've never actually done that, but that would be kind of a fun experiment to try. But oftentimes I work with clients who spend $300 a month. And so that's $10 a day, and they run ads continuously every day, every month. And I'll actually share some of those results and what that might look like a little bit later on. But depending on your budget, you can spend as little or as much as you want. Those are small numbers in the grand scheme of things. Like I said, $500 million is spent every single day on Meta ads. But anything in between can have a big impact. All right. So I'm actually going to cover 3 key steps, and it's going to be reach and running a campaign and its results. And so those are the 3 R's that I'm going to cover for you guys today. And so the first R is reach, and that's about finding the right people, like I started with. I do have a free resource down here if you guys want to scan that at any point, and that's just a guide to help you guys identify who might the right people be for you if you were to ever do Facebook or Meta advertising, and some questions to help you define that audience. But specifically on Meta, there's a few different audience types. There's a few different ways to reach people by their group or their audience, as Meta calls them. And I'm going to share with y'all some of the different ways you can approach finding a group of people. And the first one is what I call a demographic audience. Meta also calls this a saved audience. But this is kind of like your basic ideal client avatar sort of thing. You can choose based on a location, age, anywhere from 18 to 65. And you can't go higher than 65, so you max out at 65 years old. You can choose by gender, language, and then any sort of interests or behaviors that you think might relate to your client. And so that could be anything from hobbies and lifestyle to kind of like attributes like small business owner, or all sorts of things, Meta probably has hundreds and hundreds of attributes, interests, and behaviors that you can select from in order to help define that demographic audience. After that, there's another kind of approach you can take, and that's called a matched audience. So, Emily and Jennifer, I heard y'all talking about your email lists earlier. So, if you have an email list of at least 100 people, you can actually take that email list and upload it into Meta, and Meta will use the information that it has and match Meta users. So that could be anyone on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, WhatsApp, to the email list that you have. It can match by email, it can match by phone number and name, and then you can specifically target those people so that your email list would see your ads on any one of those platforms. So that's a really cool feature as well. Thirdly, there's what's called custom audiences, and actually a matched audience is a type of custom audience, but it goes beyond that. You can create an audience from your Facebook or Instagram followers and just target those people who are following your page. You can also create an audience of people who like or comment or engage with any one of your posts, which also includes any advertisements. So if you're posting a lot on social media and you're getting a lot of engagement, that way you can target and show ads to that specific group of people. You can also create something that's called a pixel, which is a piece of code, and put it on your website if you have a website, and then target people who are visiting your website. And then if you're uploading videos to Facebook or Instagram, you can actually target people by how much they watch a video. So you can target by, like, if someone's watched through it 25% of the way, 50% of the way, 75% of the way, 100% of the way. It's really crazy, all the things that you can do with the custom audiences. And I'll show examples in a minute too. But that's all sorts of different approaches and different sources that you can use. And so just to kind of park on this for a second, this is something I try to share more and more of, but this is a good idea for, like, why all types of marketing work really well. Is like, okay, maybe you're focusing on pushing people to your website, but now you can take those website visitors and target them with Meta ads. Or maybe you're really focused on building your email list. Okay, now you can upload your email list and target those people with Meta ads. So it all works together really, really well. And then finally, the last type of audience that you can target is called lookalike audience. And this is really cool because it does require any one of those custom or matched audiences that I just talked about. And what it will do is so let's say you have an email list of 100 people that you believe are your ideal type of customer or client. You can then create that matched audience, then create a lookalike audience based off of it, which allows Meta to go find a whole new set of people that look like or that are similar to your email list. And so that's based on age and all sorts of data that Meta has: age, location, maybe job titles, things of that nature. So these are all just a bunch of different tools and ways of finding the right people. But, ultimately, there is some exercises through this free guide that I have here that will allow you to really think through and answer a lot of the questions to help identify, like, who those people are specifically. And then once that has been done, you can go into Meta and create these audiences. And so these are some examples of what that looks like. And I know this might be a little hard to read. I'm having a hard time myself. But this is a demographic audience that I created, and I just created a kind of a fake audience of, if I were to open a coffee shop here in Charlotte, North Carolina, how would I target those people? And so right here, what I've done is I've actually dropped a pin right here in the middle of Charlotte, and I've got a 10-mile radius that you can see up at the top there under United States. And so anyone within a 10-mile radius of Charlotte, North Carolina, where I live, where my coffee shop is, I've set the age limitations 18 to 40 years old. I'm thinking maybe college students, young working professionals, maybe there's a wider age range there, maybe not. But then even below that, these are some of those interests that I was talking about. People who are interested in cappuccinos, espressos, lattes, specialty coffee, which is kind of actually a hobby of mine. And then even more so Starbucks. Like if you follow or interact with the Starbucks page on Facebook, then that would be those people would be included in that audience. And so what's really cool about this is it'll actually show you on the right side. I know it's hard to see, but I think it says 193 to 221,000 people is the estimated audience size for that example of an audience. So that's just one way to visualize how to create an audience. The next example, and this is what I was talking about with the custom audiences, you can use all sorts of different sources. So your website is one source, a customer list, meaning your email list, you can upload that to Facebook and match those emails to Facebook users or Instagram users. Video is another source. Like I was saying, you can target people who have watched a certain percentage of your video. Instagram account, like I said, Instagram followers, people who engage with your Instagram content, and Facebook page as well. But all sorts of things, really. Shopping, events. If you create an event on Facebook, even on Facebook listings, like if you use Facebook Marketplace, there's some interesting things you can do there. So that's all under the matched and the custom audience. And then finally, we have a lookalike audience. So once you've created your custom audience right here through that customer list feature, then you would upload that custom audience right there and choose like how similar you want Meta to create an audience of people who look like that group. So you can make it as tight as 1%, like the top 1% of Meta users who might be similar, or you can expand that all the way up to 10%. So maybe a little less similar, but a much larger group of people. So those are just some examples of the different ways that you can reach the right people on Meta. And even most recently, there's a lot of development with AI, and Meta's becoming more and more knowledgeable about the types of people and where they are in their journey. And so they're actually pushing a lot of this to a lot more automated approach, which is still hit or miss. I find that these are the approaches that have yielded the best results with the clients that I work with so far. All right. So that was reaching the right people. The next R, like I mentioned, is run, or running a campaign. Okay, so once you've identified who those people are, then what? So the first thing that you have to think about, if you're a social media user, Instagram, Facebook, you know very well that you are on social media and you're scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, and sometimes it's hard to stop, right? But what you want to do with your ads, since you're spending money to show it in front of lots of people, is find a way to stop the scroll. Find a way to hook people, grab their attention, and speak to that audience that you have determined. And so once you've figured out who this is, one of the best ways to get people to engage with your ads is to have what's called a lead magnet. A lead magnet is any sort of resource. It could be a PDF, it could be a checklist, it could be a video, it could be a coupon. I have some examples later on, but anything that's going to offer value to the people that you're trying to reach. And so this will help you build trust with those people. It will position you as the expert. And it really helps you grow your email list with people who are interested in what you might have to offer. And so, like I said, some examples are popular ones are like assessments or quizzes to see, you can audit yourself with whatever the person is providing. If you're an author, you can offer the first chapter of your book for free to give them a little taste. A lot of people offer PDFs, or even webinars can act as lead magnets sometimes. or like a coupon, like a 20% off coupon if you're selling a physical item, or even gift cards. I've seen. I was looking earlier today, and Verizon is offering 100, 200, $300 gift cards with their ads to get people to sign up. That's a very common tactic. Anything that's going to be some sort of promotional item, and it's going to attract a lead, right? That's the magnet, right? The lead is the person. The magnet is the thing that's going to attract that person to what you have to offer. And then once you have your audience defined, once you have your resource defined, then it's time to go to Meta Ads Manager. And I'll speak on this more later, but a mistake that people often make is just hitting the boost post button that Meta makes and offers up to look so enticing. But really, that's not the best approach. I see people all the time boost $5 to the contact us page of their website, and then they spend a bunch of money on boosting the post, and that's not really going to yield a bunch of results. One, because maybe they're not boosting to a defined audience. Two, there's no real offer other than just to reach out. There's no exchange of value there, right? And so Meta Ads Manager is really the place where if you're going to run ads and if you're going to take it seriously, that's where your campaign needs to be set up. And there's kind of 3 components of this that I'll walk through. But step number 1 is creating the actual ad itself. So a video or an image and some captions around it to create a message that's going to get people to click on it, that's going to grab their attention and speak to their pain points to help offer a solution to whatever problem they may be facing. And then from there, once someone clicks on your ad, they'll be directed to what's called a landing page, just any web page, preferably like a static page that doesn't allow you to navigate anywhere else on a website. But that can vary depending on what you're offering. But the point of the landing page is to offer that resource to get people to sign up for that resource. And then that is the exchange of information. You get their contact information, you give them the resource, and then you have them in your list and in your broader audience of people that you're marketing to. And then oftentimes that resource will be delivered in a thank you and a follow-up email. And like I said earlier, the best approach is one that's simple and straightforward without trying to do too many things at once. And that's really is going to that is what's going to let you measure the effectiveness of your campaign. So one campaign doesn't have to do everything. You can choose an offer, a specific audience, and just start to learn, start to do trial and error. And you can improve as you go. You can create new images, try different videos. You can even try different lead magnets if you think something else might resonate more. But advertising and marketing in general is just all about continual learning and trying trial and error, different approaches to figure out what resonates the most with the people that you're trying to reach. And so this is an example of a campaign that I just found. This is from Alex Hormozi, who's a big name in the marketing and business world and helping business owners scale their businesses. And this is just a book that he's promoting. And so I kind of want to break it down here according to that framework I just shared with y'all. This is actually pulled from his page right here on the left side. This is the actual ad. He has a video talking about this book that he wrote called $100 Million Money Models. And then he's got this caption here. He's got his video. And then the button on the bottom right says learn more. And so if you were to watch this, look at that. Looks like Emily has a copy of $100 million offers. Awesome. Very cool. So this is his latest book. I think he came out with it a month or two ago. But he's promoting that. Once you click on that ad, then it will direct you to this landing page right here in the middle. And on this landing page, he's offering, it says a live event, a YouTube live book launch event on August 16th. And he's even giving away like 4 surprise bonus gifts which is in my world, that's like 4 additional lead magnets. So he's kind of giving away like 5 resources all in one right here to make it just super compelling for you to sign up and attend and go to this book launch event. And I'm sure those are packed full of value. But I went ahead and signed up for this, not really because I'm interested, but just to see if I would get an email, because that was what I was building out for you guys. And boom, right there, I signed up on that landing page, and then he sent me this email. I've registered for the event, save this email, and then he goes into all sorts of stuff. But that's the funnel right there. So it starts with the ad, then the ad directs someone to a landing page where they capture the contact information, first name, last name, email, phone number, and then they deliver the resource. I've registered for the event, save this email, and he's delivered on that promise that was made in the beginning on the ad. So that's the framework. That's what the campaign looks like from start to finish. But let's talk about results, because that's a really important part. And this is also where I think people come in with a lot of different expectations and a lot of different ideas about what will result if they do run a campaign. And the first thing is, one of the results is the fact that you will learn about advertising, you will learn about social media, and you'll learn about your audience. So some metrics that advertisers use is what's called a click-through rate, or a CTR, and that just tells you if people are even clicking on your ad. So oftentimes 1% is a good kind of benchmark for a click-through rate, and that's 1 out of 100 people that see your ad are actually clicking on it, and that's pretty decent. If it gets below 1%, then advertisers like myself want to look at it and see if we can improve that. If it's over 1%, 1.5, 2, or 3%, that's a healthy indicator that, people are clicking on your ad, it's resonating with them, and they're moving further down that funnel. Another metric that advertisers look at is cost per lead, and that's just how much you pay in ad spend in your ad budget to capture one email or one lead, right? And so these can range anywhere from, I've seen as low as $3 to as high as $150. And so that's a really big range, but it really varies depending on your industry and what your offer consists of. I do a lot of advertising for law firms, and oftentimes this is in a $15 to $30 range. And ultimately, a good cost per lead is one that you would say, yeah, I would pay X amount of dollars to have someone who is potentially interested in my services, to have their contact information, and to be able to have the opportunity to speak with them about my services. Some people, that's a much higher number. Some people, that's a much lower number. It really just depends on lots of different factors. And then finally, another good thing to pay attention to is the engagement. So once people sign up to receive your lead magnet, you can look at your email marketing platform and see, are people even opening the emails? Are people from my ad campaigns even opening the emails where I'm talking about what I offer? Are people downloading the resource from that email? Are people responding? Are people from your Facebook ads responding to the emails that you're sending out? Are they picking up the phone whenever you're calling them? These are all good, positive results and good indicators that your ad campaigns are or are not working. And so that's one actual result that I try to get business owners to understand. Another result is just all of the things that you learn about your business, your messaging, your marketing. You can learn what message is resonating by testing different captions on your ads. You can learn if video performs better than images. You can learn if pink images perform better than green images. You can test all sorts of these things, all of these different things, and get a good understanding of your audience and your brand and how those two things fit together. Even running campaigns on a small budget will give you insight into this data. The challenge is if you're only posting organically, meaning you're not putting any money behind your social media posts, oftentimes those posts don't reach a large amount of people. And so you don't really have a huge sample size to go off of to get these insights. But because you're putting money behind ads, thousands of people are seeing your ads. And so you can start to get some insights from a larger sample size that way. And ultimately, your ad campaigns will teach you what your audience is paying attention to and what they're not paying attention to. There's a chance you may need to change your offer if it's not resonating, or if it's really hitting and your ad performance is just crushing it. Then that's a really, really healthy indication that you have a really good understanding of what your audience needs, and being able to offer them some guidance there. And so in terms of actual kind of tangible results, this is just an example of what I see oftentimes. Let's say you're spending $10 a day, a small budget, that's 30 days a month, $300 a month. Probably somewhere in the 1 to 10,000 range is how many people would see your ads. And realistically, you could probably expect anywhere from 10 to 20 leads coming through, 10 to 20 people downloading that resource that you're offering. And so, if it's on the 10 side, that means you're paying $30 for each person that downloads your resource. So if it's on the 20 side, that means you're paying $15 for each person that downloads your resource. And so, like I said, that $15 to $30 range is what I typically see. But really, all of this is, the goal is to get more people outside of your existing network to market to, right? People who are interested in what you have to offer, people who are interested in your brand. And it's more opportunities. A lot of times people come to ads and think that it's a guaranteed new client or guaranteed new business. The thing is, it's potential. It's a potential new client. It's the opportunity to speak to more people. Nothing is necessarily guaranteed, because once you have that information, that's where your sales process kicks in. And it's all about how you can reach out to those people and offer them the sale. That's kind of where marketing stops and sales starts. And really what you want is the full collaboration between marketing and sales. But marketing is about presenting the right opportunity. Sales is about closing on that opportunity, right? So those are the results that I like to guarantee to some degree. If people guarantee, a certain result, that's not something I tend to do. But you may hear people make those guarantees at some point. But these are some mistakes that I see a lot of the time too, that I just want to bring up for you guys to avoid as you're navigating, potentially thinking about running ads in the future. And some of these are marketing mistakes too in general, outside of advertising. And this is what I was just talking about with sales. If you have no plan to interact with these leads in any way, so you have their phone number, you have their email, you have a way to contact them, but if you're not ever calling them, if you're not ever emailing them, and you have no plan for how to do that, then all of this is for nothing. It's just you're getting this contact information for people and you're not doing anything with it, right? So if you have no plan to follow up with these people, then you might as well just not run the campaigns. Next is some sort of magical thinking, and again, this is similar to what I was just talking about. But advertising is a method to acquire new leads outside of your existing network. It's not a guarantee that these leads will end up doing business with you. But it is a way for you to get in front of the people that you believe are the right fit, and get more opportunities to speak to people outside of your existing network. And then the boosting posts is a mistake that I generally don't recommend the setup. It can be beneficial, but it's kind of like an advanced strategy, I would say. And it usually results in burning through your ad budget, not getting any leads, not getting lots of results that are very tangible. And so I generally don't recommend boosting posts. There's that enticing button. And then spending too much at one time. A lot of people come to ads and say, well, I'm just going to spend all the money I have in 1 month and see what I learned. But actually, what I tend to recommend when it comes to a budget and what a good budget is one that you can maintain over a long period of time, because that's what's going to help you through the learning process. And you can reiterate on different campaigns, like I said, different images or videos or lead magnets or things that you can tweak along the way. Probably the last thing that you want to do is start and stop and start and stop. And that's just going to slow down the learning process for you. It keeps Meta from learning about who your ideal audience is. It kind of confuses the data that they use to put your ads in front of the right people. And so what you want to do is gradually spread out whatever budget you have over a long period of time that's going to enable you to learn as a part of a process. And so those are some of the most common mistakes that I see. And so I just wanted to share those with y'all so that if you ever consider them or run into them, that maybe you might think twice before following through. So just to recap everything, like I said, there's 3 R's: reach, run the campaign, and the results. And so the reach is all about showing your ads in front of the right people with different ways of targeting. There's custom audiences, matched audiences, lookalike audiences, the basic demographic audiences, where you can build out your ideal client. And once you've identified who you want to reach, then you can run the campaign with a clear offer or a clear lead magnet. And that's oftentimes, a downloadable resource. It can be a video, it can be a webinar, it can be all sorts of things, a coupon, a gift card, but something to offer in exchange for their contact information. And then once you run those campaigns and you get those leads, the results are really to learn about your audience, to learn about your marketing, your messaging, and to have the opportunities to reach out to those leads in hopes that they would become a customer or a client with your business that you're advertising for. So again, you don't need a big budget or a super complicated strategy, but if you stick to one audience, one offer, and one goal, I think you would be well suited when going to Meta ads, and you'd be miles ahead of people who just jump on the platform, throw money at it, and hope and cross their fingers that something positive would happen. So hopefully this gives y'all a strategy and an approach and a framework to go in if you ever consider Meta ads. And if you think that you might be ready, or if you are interested in kind of learning more and seeing more of what it takes, I have another resource here, which is a quiz, kind of like an audit of all sorts of different things that you can check off to see if you are currently ready for that. And it's on that webpage right there on that QR code. And so feel free to download that as well. Purely educational.